Okay, so we're picking up from this place. He said, look over there what the Gra says. L'chalon and Reish Perek Gimel, we're going to see that. But Tosefes Beer, he adds on and it says like that, Vizel Lashono. And once again, he's talking about the Sifra that's in use of the Malo. He says, Reish Perek Beis, Amber, Bekotzer, Bedikter, Below Idker. So he says, what was the word? Bekotzer. Amber Bekotzer, shortly, the Dikta law is Ad Idkar. So he said like that, Ire, Be'erik Anpin. See over there, but also lo hadikta bilvad lo idkar ela gam kol tikuni a variant parts of all the others that could have a part the Atika Kadisha of Eric Anpin lo idkar b'pasuk. It's not mentioned in the pasuk when we talk about Eric Anpin. Elamada omer la'elbo we said dikna lo adkar I don't know. Below Atika Kadisha below Adkir, but it doesn't say that Atika Kadisha is not mentioned. Mishum de Betzon Lomer, hello Afazer Anpin lo Idkerdikna. That's what he wants to say. He wants to say that's not mentioned over there either. Adkan. So it's not mentioned at all. None of the environment mentioned about Eric Anpin over there. But apparently we see that the same thing here by Zer Anpin. Reb Sefer Yain the Rakachs over there. Al Idra Rabba in the Ridra Rabba Shatzayim L'Shar Maimari Rashbi. So he goes on with the rest of the Maimari Rashbi. And now, V'hosted the Var V'zel Alona, and this is he goes on to explain, and this is the language that he uses. 1 second. He says, Ki B'kom Makam Shembedaber B'Tanach B'Shvach HaDikna D'Erik Anpin, and it wants to talk about the glory, I guess, or the praise of the Dikna of Erik Anpin. Oh, bedikna de zera anpin kamo mi keo kamocho. So he says this. You see, for example, in mi keo kamocho, where he's thinking about the penemius or the beard, which is starting at the beginning. Upasa v'avor, and then it psak v'avor, and then it comes to v'avor over there, and then it goes to keo rachum, etc., v'rashem erik apayim. All of those different midos that is mentioned could go min hametzer, etc. Bakulam lo nizgar milas zakan. So even though that you are getting some reference over here, but you don't mention the word beard at all. Higam zakan dezer anpin lo nizgar bakol hadakamosh ambar beidra rabba. So even if you're talking about zer anpin, it's not mentioned there either. That's what it wants to say. If it's Sifra that's niusa and reish peri gimel, etc. Adkan ayin sham v'rei gam beferish sulam. So the sulam comes into this. Hazakan Einen Nizgar B'Torah L'Nevi'im B'Revuch Kesuvim. It's not mentioned in any of these places. Shukosov Einich B'Vayetz, and for that, Ozdach B'Vaya, on the Savaya, referring, I guess, to Zer Anpin. V'chein L'Chayev, also Karugas Abosim. He says that she have insurance or shirim. Hazakan Einen Nizgar Adkan. So all of these different people are mentioning this idea. Rei Od Bir Biurim. Kan B'Shem or Yakar. So also over there. Now, one of the things that I'm neglecting is that the reading actually of the Sifra Tzniuta. Okay, what happened here? All right. And it comes back. Okay. So what I was going to say is I want to read the little top part, which I neglected to do. It says dikta de mechamanusa. So we had the concept already of the concept of what it means face. Why is the beard is the first manifestation, let's say, outside of the mukhas limah of the shefa of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. This is called faith over here. So then he says in the rest of which we're working on that, he says the word dikna, and we talked about the fact that it appears in parentheses here, and some of the early defusim do not have it. Lo idkar, so the word dikna is not mentioned. Begin to he yikirusu the kula, because it's the most precious part of all. Now that's really just the idea here. So let's go on from number ches, where we got number ches, reading number ches. And let's go to why it's, and I wants to go, and still talking about the fact of the man not mentioning the beard. So we have this phrase, Yakirusa de Kula, most precious of all. Shall call a parts of, because it turns out that what? The dikna really is the completion of every part. So now let's see his words here. He says a yakar, it's a dikna hu a yakar. Let's say I'm using the word precious. The most important v'shlemus of the completion shall call parts of. So he says it represents within it everything that's going to be in the parts of. If also because of the tremendous preciousness of lo nizkar b'pasuk, so therefore it's something that I guess we have to strive to approach, but it's not directly mentioned. It's still a little bit interesting, the concept of not mentioning it, because it wants to say it's unmentionable because it's unconfinable. I don't know exactly what he means to say. So now we come to number test. He's number test. Did I read this right? He says, yeah, we did that. So now we come over to the Idra Rabbah. That's really pointed out over there. So we have all these fancy words. Because of that, because it's so important or so precious, trying to grasp why this would be, but he says it. So he said, "Velo nizgar does not reveal. It's not revealed." Shall call parts of. Gone is a pasuk, so therefore it's really the ikar of everything, I guess. But he doesn't use the word ikar; he uses the word precious and important and complete. He says, so therefore, for that reason, that's the reason we don't mention it. So we not sure exactly. It's to really have a good feeling for this. Below nizgala shem dikta before b'pasuk. That's basically saying the same thing from different standpoints. So that's where we see it over there at Khan. So let's try to get just a little bit of feeling for it. And he says with bira inyan. So let me explain it more. He says the explanation of this inyan yakirusu. What does yakirusa mean? Rei ba'otza bi'urim Khan. So we're going to get back into the back and we'll see some of that. He said, Shemuvoyim Asham Kama Biurim Bezesa. There's lots of different explanations of why this particular concept of its preciousness causes it not to be mentioned. Ayin Sham Ba'orech, and we'll get to that. So here it says, Kan Mashma. The Baal Devayir Lama Lo Nizgar Hadikna Kamosha Nizgar Shar Evaria parts of Kamo. So again, once again, we have lots of references that could be put there, but they're not. Because it's, so I'm taking this to mean that it's really the origin, or I'm taking it to be that it really is the wellspring from which it comes, and we don't talk about it. Yosef B'Shar Varia parts of the Reim Mashin is Boyer Bezel Be'od Be'odsa Be'urim. We're going to get a lot more out of this over there. So now we're coming around to the end of this little piece here. And the end comes, we'll read from number test and number Yud. I think Yud is just at the bottom here. So he says like this, in number test, he says, Kikol Mash Hu Elyon V'Yakar Hu Ne'elam Um'chusit. So I'm trying to touch it onto the idea that he said that this is, what was his words over there? He says, Dikna Mehamenusa, where we talked about that the beginning of the beard is the beginning of, is Atzilus, is the beginning of Atzilus. Everything is contained inside of there. It has a connection to the Mukhus Dimah. And for some reason, not for some reason, but he says because of this is really the Panemius of everything, we don't mention it. So we have to, because that's the point that I was trying to make, is just that that's the part where Amuna comes in, because we know there's something beyond, but we don't mention it. So now let's come over here to this little number Yud, Kamosha Amba Sifra the Tzniuto, so we have this in the Sifra the Tzniuto, the Cholon, he said, V'kol mad is tomkor lo is galia. Everything that is hidden is not revealed. So he said, then it says, Ilo v'yakira ishtakach, and so therefore you have what? Ilo, I take it to mean panemius, real ultimate panemius and importance, because if it's the start of all of its silos, it has to indicate that there's something that we're missing beyond the tzilus, and that is the connection to the Muchas Timor of Eric Anpin. Kol Mash and the Elam, so he says everything that is hidden, ve'enim is gala, and not revealed. He says, Nimsaj hu elyon v'yakar, so we said it's the highest level, and it's very precious. So he means, again, elyon panimi. So therefore we understand automatically it's going to be like that. We're not allowed to look at that part or to have a word for it, Adkan. Or I'm not sure, because we do have a word for it. We have the word dikna, but or zakan, but we don't have it mentioned anywhere in Tanach. So it seems to be a big steer, and they're concerned about that. Also that we see the Shono. The Sifra, call ma the Itmer Beganis, below Idka, below Isgalia, Haku Mila, Havi law of Yakira Mekula, so it's up above, it's the most precious of all. The Begin door, whose sauce and Veganas, for this reason, it's closed up, hidden away, because of its panemius and the quality, the importance of it. Kach lamad nocha b'sodus al-sifra l'tzniuta, ki kol mashachu tamer Veganas, below Nizkar, below Nizgala b'pasak, so this is indicating that there's something beyond. It's the most important part. Because of the tremendous importance that it carries. So let's come over now and let's we have just let's see, we have a few minutes. So let's look and see if we can get started with the next one. So that's reading across the top. So that's really what to do here. Let me get it here. Let's see if I can see this. So Mu'udnim nafkas. So they come out from the ears. Basachranacha the bosita. I don't know what the bosita means right now. Salek v'nachis chutach chivara. So goes up and goes down. A chuta, a thread that's white, a white thread. Let's see what the blurb says. He says the blurb says Ancha Shabir Ma'alas Adikna. So now that we've explained the tremendous importance of the dikna, the Eric Anpin, where in fact, where we start the general idea of the dikna, where is it? The Eric Anpin. That's why it's a Be'udna Nafkas. V'sovev as upon him, and surrounds it surrounds the face. V'nimshach v'yared al demata, and it extends down. It keeps going down, and it goes downwards. V'zecha v'makom klalos adikna. So this is the idea of the klalos adikna. Avach bepratis, but in specific, when we're talking about in general, that's where you find the beard. Avach bepratos. So first of all, you have the concept of the location of it, starting at the ears, and then we say that within itself it has this number 13. Let's read a little bit. We have just a few minutes, and let's see if I can read along to the next stop. It says Mu'udnim nafkas. Yitzias haschalas hadigna hu mimakom aznayim. The Eric Anpin, this is where it begins at the Peus. Behind the Shal Sa'aro Shal Tikun Rishon, the Shlosha Asa Tikun Dikna Maskila the Tzeis, Melifte Pesach Aznaim, from beginning, the opening of the ears. Now, let me just get over here a little bit more. He says, okay, Basachrona de Busita, so it goes around the Busita. Va'achar kach Somchim Asarus Vivas Toer upon him, the form of the face. shall Erikanpin of Erikanpin. So he said, Bosita what means, I guess, the face. It's the form of the face. He says, let's see what he says like this. The Salik Benach, excuse me, goes up and then goes down, Chuta Chivara. So a white thread. So it goes up and down like a thread. He says a white thread, one white thread, shall sa'aris behind of a one thread which is composed apparently of hairs. The that is the white hair shall mazlos adekna of the two different mazlos that were specifically dikra, or he made all of the, which are the 8th and the 13th tikkun. Each of those are like really one thread which is long. Ha'olah, it goes upward, v'tzomeach, and grows b'makom adikna lamal. Now exactly how that works right now I don't know. And it goes down until it reaches this place which is called the tibur of the heart. This is the navel of the heart. There's some difference of opinion, I think, of whether it's in the chest or between the chest and the tibur. I'm not sure. So he says that here also Sharamarna the Sa'aras Adiktar Nichlalim Yachad Kuchut Echad. So we said that the hairs really get incorporated into like one thread. Im calls it with all of this, and we have to really think about that. Sharamarna the Sa'aras Adiktar Nichlalim Yachad Kuchut Echad. Im calls that with all of this, but Tleisim is Parish B'Yikira. But in its, I guess, in its importance, in its preciousness and glory, he says, but Tleisim is Farish, so that it actually, if you look at it, there's 13. Saras Adiktim is Parshim is Chalkim, the Shlosha Asa Tikunim, they spread in that way. Shlosha Asa Mekomas in 13 different places, Shonos, Kamoshi, Isbar, Luchalon. We're going to get into that more. V'chem Shlosha Asa Tikunim, Shal Dikna, the Erikanpen, Hanikra Yakar, which are called by that name. Okay, so I think this is the place to stop right now in the Sifra Tzniuta, and then we'll come in and we'll start looking at it in more detail to see the origins of some of these words and how they're going. So let me make a mark where this is, where we stopped. Okay, start here. This is today. This is 28th Tishrei. 84. Okay. Now, let me get over to this other part here.